Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you guys are having a magnificent Monday. It's a beautiful Monday. You see that sun shining? We're feeling good. We're sprinkling love on you. And what we're going to be talking about isn't normal. It's actually paranormal. Could this stuff even be real? So yes, today we're going to be talking about ghosts and my personal experience with ghosts and why I believe that ghosts are an absolute real thing, and how I may not have evidence for it, but I've definitely had a lot of experiences with it. And so I'm going to start where all of this kind of started for me and what led me to believe that ghosts are 100% real. Now, when I was younger, I want to say I was about 4 or 5 years old, I grew up in Chicago. We had a house in Chicago that was haunted by one of the previous owners. And I remember when I was a kid, I would always hear footsteps in the attic, and there was nobody that lived in the attic at all. Yet I would hear footsteps when I was younger, and it was normal for me. I didn't think anything of it. I would also hear like rocking chairs and things like that, even though there was no rocking chair up there. But I was always just told it was the guy that lived upstairs. And so being young, I didn't really think much of it. It was just something that was totally normal for me. And there was actually an instance where in the house that I lived in, it was 3 stories from what I recall. The middle level is the level that me and my family lived on. The attic, as I mentioned, was completely empty, and then we had a basement where we just simply used it for storage. And I remember we stored our bikes down there. And so one day, me, my dad, my sister were going for a bike ride, and as my dad opens the door for the basement, I see an older gentleman standing there. And I can still picture him till this day. I see this old gentleman just standing there. And I didn't think anything of it because, again, I was young and I was like, oh, okay, it's just somebody who is gathering something from the basement, whatever. And we continued throughout the bike ride. And again, there was no sort of thought. It was just kind of like normal for me. So that was the first experience I had with ghosts. The next one actually comes from a family line itself. So this is something that I used to have the ability to do, and then my uncle had the ability to do as well, and that was talk to people that had passed on. And this was something that I didn't even realize I had, or that was a part of me, until something that was really crazy kind of happened. So my brother, when my brother was in high school, he had a friend who committed suicide. I'd never met this friend whatsoever. I just remember my brother came home, briefly talked about his friend that committed suicide, and he actually put on Adam's song by Blink-182, and he said this was my friend's favorite song, and I want to play it in remembrance for him. And so I thought that was a pretty cool moment that my brother did for his friend. But what ended up happening was that night I went to sleep, and I had a very vivid dream. And in this dream, I was sitting in a circle of just random people, as if it was like a gym class or a PE class or something along those lines. And everybody's face was kind of like blurred out, except for one person that was to the left of me. So I look to the left of me, and I see this person who I've never seen before in my entire life. And he starts talking to me, and he's giving me messages to relay to other people. In this specific realm, he was giving me a message to relay to my brother and just basically thank him for playing the song and let him know that he was okay and things like that. And so I woke up actually in sweats. I was like scared of this dream. It was kind of a night terror, if you will. So I walked into my brother's room, and I shared with him this story in my dream, and he goes, well, what did this person look like? And mind you, I'd never met his friend before. I described his friend to the T, exactly what his friend looked like. And once that happened, I realized there was something more going on, and it kind of built on itself from there. So then I realized I had this power, and I would start to communicate with people while I was sleeping. So the next person I communicated with was a good friend of mine in elementary school's brother who had committed suicide. I'm not going to tell you what his message was for his family, because that's something for his family to kind of be at peace with, if you will. But I was able to relay messages from him directly to his family, and it was kind of something that I wasn't afraid of anymore, because I realized that what I was doing was actually helping families overcome the passing of loved ones. And so it happened, those two instances happened with other people's family, but then I had something that actually happened with my family, which was my aunt passing. So my aunt passed, and I was in junior high at the time, I believe, or I might have been a freshman in high school. And I was playing basketball, actually. And I remember going to sleep. I was on the basketball team. I remember going to sleep. My sister was in sports and my brother was doing some other things too. But I remember going to sleep and having a dream with my aunt in it, and my aunt just relaying messages to me to not only give to myself, but also to my brother and sister as well. So I was able to communicate and, again, relay information to loved ones from people that have passed to kind of put them at ease a little bit. So that kind of cemented this idea of ghosts for me. But truth be told, it doesn't stop there either. So one of the last instances I'll tell you about, and I've had many of experiences, was when I moved from Chicago, we moved to Aurora, Illinois, home of Wayne's World. What up? So we moved to Aurora, and my parents had renovated a house. And what I didn't know about that house at the time was that there was an elderly couple that lived at the house before we moved in, and the husband had passed. And that was one of the reasons for them getting rid of the house. So I was watching TV upstairs one day, and the screen goes black. You know when the screen goes black between like the show and the commercial, where there's like a second of just like dead time, you know what I mean? So the screen was black, and behind me was actually the bathroom. So I'm looking at the TV screen, and I see somebody standing in the bathroom, and I can see this person plain as day. So the reflection in the TV, there's somebody actually in the bathroom. And naturally, I booked it. I hightailed it out of there. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not being a part of this, because this wasn't an experience where I was asleep. This was an experience where I was right there. I was in the moment. I was, just watching TV and just in a zone. And it really caught me off guard. It scared the crap out of me. So I actually talked to my stepdad, and I said, hey, I saw somebody upstairs in the bathroom. And it wasn't a physical person. It was a spirit, if you will, or a ghost. And he goes, well, what did the ghost look like? And mind you, I'd never met the owner of the house before that. I didn't even know who the owners were and that they were even old people. This was the first time I had heard about this. So I described this person. It was an elderly gentleman, probably in his 70s or 80s, white hair, a little bit taller, and had a beard too. And so I described this person, and my stepdad goes, yeah, that was the previous owner's husband, and he had passed. I don't think he passed in the house, but he had passed. So that was an experience that I cemented it at that point. Like, this was something that I was like, yeah, the ghosts for sure, paranormal for sure. And it was something that I grew to accept more and just understood more. So the idea of ghosts and the afterlife and being able to communicate with spirits, I feel like that's a very real thing, because I personally experienced it. And it's kind of fascinating to me that we are able to, communicate and see that other passing on, or somebody that's already passed on. Because I think it's something that we don't understand, but it's something that definitely fascinates me, and it doesn't really scare me, to be honest, because of all the experiences. But I wanted to share that with you because that's something that I'm actually into. I like to kind of explore that side of things, because obviously consciousness is a part of it itself. But that's like something fascinating, because growing up there was always the ghost adventure shows and ghost hunters and things like that. So something that always intrigued me. But I wanted to share my story and just kind of get some feedback from you guys. Like, what's your experience? Have you ever had any sort of ghostly experience or paranormal experience? And if you have, what was it? Or do you just not believe in ghosts whatsoever? Do you think that the experiences that I had were me just being seeing things or hearing things, or just dreams? Or what do you think it was? Do you think that it's just something that is just pie in the sky and isn't real, and it's just something that people want to believe? What exactly do you think? So go ahead and comment below. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. And if you haven't, smash that subscribe button. It's right there. It's right there. We're always talking about crazy stuff, consciousness, becoming better, sharing life experiences, vlogging, and just becoming better together. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Peace.